the observer, I think, is what brought us as a group together in the first place.
I would agree.
Because
we instantly aligned on.
It's how we understood.
That's exactly how things are going.
the cool thing about the observer is that there are two ways of looking at the observer. There's the scientific observer of the waveform and the particle, and which is biocentrism, and then there's the spiritual observer, which is witnessing the observer, which would be witnessing the thinking mind.
You talked about consciousness and the spirituality as also being the observer. There's a spiritual observation along with your consciousness, in addition to what we know or what we think we've observed in the physical world. Let's say double slit, where is a light particle a waveform, or is it a physical thing? And the answer is it's both.
Both.
Yeah.
Right. Same thing with the spiritual.
We are the only person measuring our existence. This goes in with perception or the mirror.
We are the mirror of God.
Projection. We see the world collapse in our own thinking mind view, right?
Yes.
We're all in the same room, but we are all seeing this room completely differently.
Oh,
because we're all collapsing the thoughts, the waves, and the
I'm a real person. You two are avatars.
Yeah, right. Exactly right.
I'm glad you know.
The waveform would be our higher self without bounds of our ego thinking mind, and our observed collapse particle of our mind is when
Making matter.
is making our ego,
Yes.
our thinking mind.
Yes.
Our thinking mind is the collapsed particle of our higher self.
So the understanding of an observer, right, is I feel you're right, foundational. The double slit experiment. Once you understand that, you are on the verge of awakening, right? You really do need to start connecting everything back, and perhaps DMT does offer that. And I had a lot of questions actually based around this very specific conversation, which is why I wanted to tie DMT into the observer. Because when you talk about spiritual waveforms, which do exist, it is particles, it is waveforms, it is emitting, right? So through this wall, observably, it is possible to see waveforms through this. You may not be able to observe it optically with our eyes or with our ears, but that waveform is producing from this observer and creating another emittent on the other side of it. It's passing through. So you actually could read exactly what is on that screen through a wall. And so they have created waveform blockers to try to prevent that for national security.
Okay.
So
That would be fluoride.
fluoride does that. That would be more spiritual level.
That is
Spiritual blocker, absolutely.
Yes, fluoride has 100% blocked our waveform capabilities of seeing certain high frequency waveforms.
And fluoride is the worst, right? Because it goes right through bioorganic matter. It goes right into your bones, right? That's like fluoride is hardcore. Make your teeth stronger, but not really.
They found out that is.
They're trying to saturate with
absolutely.
what's up here. They're really trying to harden your brain from what you could actually spiritually contain and bring it.
Absolutely. So you want to get back to DMT. DMT
Decalcifies instantly.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Does it decalcify? Oh,
It
Yeah,
does.
that's what it does. It opens it up.
And that's why it
the
changes
whole point of it.
That's why it changes people's lives immediately, is because if they allow their pineal gland to be decalcified at that instant, then all those years,
That's why you feel all that.
of hardening, it erases itself immediately.
interesting.
Yeah,
That's why everybody cries when they break
you
down.
can feel it happen.
Now I'm even more intrigued because I'm going to look at it because there's the fluoridic acid and DMT. I know this is a bunny trail. I wonder if it's an antidote to some of the effects of fluoridic acid exposure.
Yes, I'm sure it probably
It must be.
Yes.
It's interesting. I'm going to, all right. I'm going to go look at it chemically.
Look into that.
Yeah, I will.
To be the observer is to literally stand back and receive the emotions, the events, the impulses, the desires of your own self and not react to them. So witnessing the observer is actually seeing your thoughts collapse. Our emotions are not really what is. It is just a collapsed portion of our ego thinking mind. So we slow down, we see the emotions, and then we're able to contemplate or even digest, where did these emotions or desires come from? That is the observer. The observer is being able to sit through your body and experience and see a car, not just driving it.
And I really like where you went with the emotional piece, which is, why are you so angry?
That is
Where do
observing.
you get this input?
Right,
Right?
right.
Where did that programming come
Where
from?
does it come from?
Where did that programming come from?
We never ask that
Yeah.
question, right?
We never.
We always
ask that.
react.
Yeah.
We always just accept that that's a part of us. I am mad, so I am mad.
Right. I have to admit this back out.
We never ask why I'm mad.
Right.
We never ask.
Right.
That's observing the observer.
Yeah.
So they say that the observer would be the higher self, where the experiencer or the reactioner, the actor,
Reaction.
the reactionary experiencer is the egoic thought mind.
Mm.
So the observer is, you're still
Take a step back.
you take a step, you're still a part of, that's still a part of you, but you are now asking, where did this come from? Why is this waveform here? You
The
didn't come.
observer is literally your higher self.
So
'cause you're sitting and seeing it from the outside
So
perspective.
you're not seeing the emotion as a collapsed waveform particle. You're seeing the emotion as a actual waveform. You're seeing it. You're seeing.
You're seeing how it goes. You're seeing it before it happens. Basically, is what you're seeing.
You're seeing it as it happens.
As
You're
it
not
happens.
you're not collapsing
As
the
it
particle.
happens.
You're seeing. Yeah. So think of it as a waveform, and you have an emotion, and you get angry. You collapse it. It's there. It exists.
Now
It
it
exists.
exists now.
It exists. But if you observe the emotion, it never collapses, and you can see the flow and see where it comes from, see why you're doing it, and then cease it to exist.
Right. Are you saying I can dodge bullets?
Yes, you can.
No, Neo.
Yes.
When the time
Yeah.
comes.
Oh, you want to put
won't
that
have
analogy? Exactly.
You
right.
won't have to.
You won't have to.
Right.
Exactly right. That's a great analogy of
Right.
Neo dodging bullets. Is exactly
Good.
right.
That's exactly where it
You're
goes.
not. You're not
You
collapsing.
don't have to subscribe and clap those bullets.
Right. You don't. Right. Because they flow right by you.
Right.
And that's the observer is, every thought that we act upon would be the collapsed particle. It is there. You can't deny it. If you act on an emotion or desire or an impulse, it's there. You acted. You acted. The point is not to act and see it as it is. And think about it. If you get mad and you don't act and you observe this waveform emotion of mad and you don't act, it never existed. Nobody knows you're mad.
Right.
You're not even mad because you're just thinking about why it's there.
Yeah.
So you never collapse that particle. You're never mad. You never showed that emotion. Nobody ever has. It never existed.
Right.
You just changed the outcome of events
History.
based on being the observer. The observer is everything.
Right.
And it starts and stops here.
Being the observer is being one with God.
When you start noticing and witnessing the observer and witnessing the experiencer, you do become a creator. I don't want to say God, but you are a creator of your own outcome. So you are your own God. But let's not use that term if we want. You are your own creator because now you can create your whole existence based on your outcome of what you do and act and react to, and what you more importantly see yourself as reacting to.
Mm-hmm.
It's all a step back. It's hard to think that we're all one because we all live such different lives, and I think it's one of the hardest things for anybody.
It's incredibly hard.
We buck from the system of thinking that we're all come from the same, or we're all one, because we have so polarizing thoughts and experiences. It's very hard, but we are.
We are. And there's a phrase that I like to quote, and I read it out of a magazine. It wasn't even my magazine. And it was, tolerance is the recognition that people are in varying stages of character development.
Right. Yeah.
Right? We're all waveforms, but how we're managing our subscriber, our observable, our ability to understand that is our own journey.
Right.
Right? And your path and my path, our struggles are different. They're the same, but they're different, right? And where we're on those particular, our maturation on that is different. And so recognizing that, seeing the person, I almost is saying I see the namaste sort of thing, right? Which is I see, you're observing the person within you, but you're having a grace, which is a Christian term, but you have it in the grace to say, like, look, I get it. You're just not there yet, or you're there, and that's where and that's okay. It's okay to be there.
Interesting. I like this.
You know what I mean? And so if you're looking at a sun spinning around, and you got the planets spinning around, and we're all going in these helixes, we're also in those helixes within the subhelixes, right?
Absolutely.
And we're all going on those sub waveforms, right? We're all part of that. We're all on the same planet. We're all on the same journey. And we're all going in the same direction, whether we like it or not, right?
Now, what you were talking about, I liked, was how seeing people, how it's so hard to see the compassion or give
Oh, yeah.
compassion in the world for people that don't resonate on the same vibe as you.
Yes.
Now, what we learn in the mental contemplation is we step back and observe our emotions, observe our desires and our experiences without action, and observe it through full objectivity instead of subjectivity. That's the same thing we do when we become the observer here on the 3D planet of observing everybody is different, but still the same. I mean, we're all different waveforms, all different vibrations of different waveforms that are encapsulated in the great waveform, which would be unity, us, just without the collapsed thinking mind of our ego. And that's what makes us think that he's wrong and I'm right. It's what makes him wrong and I'm right. We spend our whole lives fighting polarization.
Duality.
Yes.
You're right.
We spend our whole lives creating duality to fight polarization.
You're right.
But really, we lose duality.
At the end, we're all one.
And when it comes
Polarized.
to forms of attractiveness, right? Like you can take this with the battle of the sexes, right? The best way to be attractive is to be polarizing. If you're just sitting here just like every other
If you're dualized,
schmuck,
you're just every other schmuck. If you're polarized, you're
salty. You're new.
You're unique.
Yeah.
You're different. What makes you so different?
Wow. I know that guy.
Wow, I feel like I can talk to you now.
You're right.
Right. It's polarized.
Yep.
Yeah, dualized would be fuck you, douche.
Yeah.
Asshole.
Yeah.
The fuck away from me.